This Filipina-American business leader helped propel billion-dollar enterprise TLC Beatrice to greater heights while championing the rights of our kababayans in the United States. Let's now have an exchange with Loida Nicolas Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Lewis. You are one of America's leading Filipino women. Why did you make empowering women in the political and public arena one of your major advocacies?
Thank you, Rico, for inviting me. You know what? When I do things, it's gender neutral as far as I'm concerned. I don't do things, for women or for men. It's that there are some things that has to be done, and I do it. So hopefully, because I'm a Filipina, because I'm a woman, there would be some women, Filipino women out there, faced with a challenge, and by seeing what I have done, they would be encouraged to do, to achieve, and to succeed. So really, it's not like I'm doing this so that the Filipina. No, you do things because it's got to be done.
It's got to be done, and it is for everybody. Let's now take a look at this ongoing pandemic, Ms. Lewis. A lot of businesses have been impacted and hurt and have shut down. What would you advise them, being a business leader, especially for Filipino business owners and employees who are struggling during these challenging times?
I know it's very hard, especially when everything is shut down. If you are in retail, if you are a restaurant or in a shop, it's very hard to make a living. But in every disaster, there is an opportunity. So for those who are suffering, if you can just sort of like reimagine what could be done through the internet, what could be done within your neighborhood, ask friends. There are many opportunities still, even when nobody's moving, so that you are able to at least do some sales. So just open your mind a little bit, ask friends, and shoulder on. I know it's very hard, tighten your belt, but there are opportunities in time of disaster. It's around you. Just look around, ask friends, and just, you'll carry on, you'll survive. Sometimes though, when you have no choice, then sometimes the real solution maybe is to shut down. Because don't worry, you're an entrepreneur, you will rise again.
Very good advice, Ms. Lewis. And of course, the US presidential elections is just right around the corner. How critical is this electoral exercise for Filipino-Americans?
Well, not only for Filipino-Americans, but for all Americans, because there's a real divide between this president in the White House and Joe Biden. They are totally different character. One is an incessant liar, kumbaga, my lola would say, bastos, walang modo, and really has no general plan, especially with this pandemic, where he was told in January that it's going to be deadly. You can catch it by the air. And because he says he doesn't want the people to panic, he has caused 220,000 deaths in the United States. Now, for Joe Biden is an experienced public servant. Since he was 29, the youngest elected senator when he was 29 years old. And all throughout his public service, he has made some mistakes and he had admitted it, unlike this president. And he is also humble, unlike this president, internationally, with respect. Unlike this president, we are being laughed at by our international allies. And as he said, if China and Russia and now Iran is interfering with our sovereignty, when he becomes president, they will know the fury of an independent #1 country in the world. They're gonna get it. So for Filipino-Americans, please choose wisely, choose well, choose character.
This is a very critical electoral exercise that will be happening on November 3rd. But Ms. Lewis, what are your dreams and aspirations for our kababayans back here in the Philippines and for Filipino-Americans in the US?
Well, first, for Filipino-Americans in the US, when we have a Biden president, I know that he is going to start, a very solid plan so that our nurses, our doctors will be saved. We are 4% of the nursing population in the United States, only 4%. 150, but the deaths of Filipino nurses is 30%. One third of our nurses have died because of lack of preparation, because of the lackadaisical lack of leadership of this president. So for Filipinos and Filipino-Americans, I know that this election, when Biden becomes president, will be different. We will have the DACA immigration law, where our dreamers, those who came here as minors, will finally get a green card, and our immigration will be reformed because it's so old. It's since 1965.
Right.
It has been changed, and we have so many more problems in immigration.
So,
our Obamacare, healthcare, okay, pre-existing conditions should remain in it, whereas this president wants to abolish it. I mean, for Filipino-Americans, these are very basic issues. Filipinos in America, a Joe Biden presidency is good in the sense that Joe Biden recognizes democracy in the Philippines, human rights in the Philippines, and also the poverty in the Philippines. We have to try to elect an honest president na walang nakawan,
yes,
so that our people will be lifted from poverty.
Ms. Lewis, you're a very successful businesswoman in the United States. What are your secrets to achieving success?
Well, when we were little, when we were growing up in Sorsogon, because that's where I grew up, born and grew up, my father would bring us, my father was orphaned when he was 12, and so he was poor, but he was able to succeed. We have a movie house named after me, Loida Theater, a Butika, many, many businesses. So he would bring us to our balcon after dinner, and he would say, what are the 5 secrets of success? Number 1, hard work. And I learned how to do hard work in school, in business. Number 2, thrift, meaning to say you must know how to handle money. Because earn, let's say, 1,000 pesos and you spend 1,500 pesos, you'll never make it. So thrift. Number 3, common sense. Common sense means something is wrong, then find something, resources or ways to solve it. Number 4, determination. Don't ever give up. If one thing, you cannot go to Quiapo by car, then maybe you can go by walking, or you can take a helicopter. Be determined to get there. And lastly, faith in God. He always said, with God, everything is possible. Because with God, He wants the best for you. So there's always the idea of success. So those are the 5 secrets of success that I have taken as my principle in life.
Thank you so much for that empowering exchange. Loida Nicolas Lewis joining us from New York.
Salamat. Thank you.